Antrel Rolle, right? Super Bowl champion, 3-time Pro Bowler, legend in the South Florida area. Now let me take you back. Did they call you Hero in high school? Was
Hero.
that true?
Yeah, Hero.
They called you Hero. All right. Out of South Dade and Homestead, right?
Correct.
Now, when did you start playing football?
Started playing football at the age of 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, but when did that dream of going to the NFL come about, right? Like, when did you discover that you were different than all the other kids that you were playing with?
Well, I was always, real talented growing up. I knew my athleticism was a little bit different. I can change direction at, any pace. I can run, I can hit. I was very physical. But NFL didn't really become a dream of mine probably until like late high school, early college. I just love to play the game. Very competitive. Love to go out there and compete. Love to go out there and win and just give it all I got.
There you go. Now, your dad was a police officer, right?
Correct.
And your mother was, pretty tough on you,
Right.
growing up and whatnot.
She was the real deal.
But I can imagine that, discipline was something that you had an understanding of at an early age, right? Like, how did that discipline, did the discipline breed consistency on the football field for you?
Absolutely. Growing up, I was never ever allowed to miss a day of school. Didn't matter if you were sick, throwing up, whatever the case may be, you had to force yourself to get up, go to school. My mom would be like, I'll sign you out early. So I think that instilled, you got to fight through certain things. You got to fight through certain things to get what you want. That discipline, it played a huge factor in my success growing up because I knew that without discipline, you can always go astray. Discipline is keep you on track. Not saying I wasn't a kid, not saying I didn't screw up, not saying I didn't do all the things that other kids did, but I always knew how to find my way back.
Mm-hmm. And can imagine you can credit, your parents for that,
absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, man. So let's fast forward, right, to college. Your first year, you play enough to letter, right? You even get a pick in that first year.
Right.
And then you go on, to the NFL. But in your Hall of Fame speech, right, you talked about, that game when Randy Shannon didn't start you.
Oh yeah.
Right?
He tried not
He
to start
tried.
you.
He tried not to start you. Talk to me about that. Like, what year was that?
I believe it was my junior year, and I believe we were playing Syracuse, and something happened in practice. We will always get into it. He was a very, very one of the best coaches I've ever played under. He was just a mastermind of defense. He knew everyone's strengths and weaknesses. But like any other coach, we will always get into it. Nothing really personal, but he may have said something I didn't like or whatever the case may be, and he told me that I wasn't going to start. And I just, I took it. I took it like a man, took it on the chin. But when it's time for game day, and it's the starting 11 out there, I'm out there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's calling down the phone from the booth, tell him to get out of there. And I was like, listen, man, whatever you're going to do to discipline me, you got to do it, because I ain't getting out this game.
Right.
And after the game, he cursed me out, called me a stubborn SOB. But, he loved me for it because he knew that I always had good intention. He knew that I was going to give him everything I got on the field.
Exactly, and that's what it's all about.
Right, absolutely.
That mentality, right? How does that translate to success for you, going into your NFL career and into life, right? Even to this very moment.
Well, I think for me, it's everything. For me, we're all talented athletes, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be there. But I think it's that mental aspect that's going to always take you over the hump. And I tell people all the time, you have to be mentally tough, and you have to have a lot of luck, because you can be the fastest dude, you can be the strongest dude, doesn't matter. But if you have an injury, God forbid, it can be taken away from you just like that. So that's why I say the luck come in. Sometimes you create your own luck, not all the time. But the mind, I think the mind is the most powerful thing in our possession, that we hold value to, but I don't think we give enough credit to what that mind can control. And I see a lot of players today, even in today's game, I know they're athletic. I know they can go out there and be beasts, but they don't know how to have amnesia. So when I say amnesia is, you get beat, Fido, forget it and drive on.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of guys that can handle that. And therefore, it drags over to the next play, and it drags over to the play after that. You got to learn how to, listen, this is football. Guys are going to be talented. You're not going to win every single battle. I don't know not one person that's won every single battle. But you can't let that keep happening. You got to find your way over the hump. And I think that's what a lot of guys lack in today's game.
And what's great is, that's with life as well, right?
Absolutely.
On a daily basis, you're going to reach, you're going to have your battles, but it's about
Absolutely.
overcoming them, right? Almost even about having a short-term memory,
Absolutely.
right? How has football, translated to life? How has it translated to you being a father, right? Like, what has football done for you?
Well, I think, for one, it definitely instilled that discipline. It instilled that hard work mentality. Even with right now my children, I instill in them, listen, if you want it, you have to get it. No one is gonna just hand you anything. And I tell them all the time, listen, you guys grow up in a life of luxury. You don't get it from the mud, but it still doesn't mean that you have to be soft. You find ways around it. You find balances. My son taking out the trash, helping me clean up, pressure clean. I put so many chores on him, and he's never once ever complained. Not because of me, that's just him. He's a product of his environment. Anything that I have to do, he always see me just go full throttle. So kids are just a product of, they're a blank canvas, we paint the picture for them.
Yeah.
And I think it's taken me so far, especially in fatherhood. I try to instill all the positive things that I've learned from since I can remember, up until now. There's still a lot of things that I'm learning to this day, and I try to instill them at an early age.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right. I appreciate that, Antrel Rolle. That's it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime, bro.